Well, here we are in our suspended obstacle course, and this is one of my most favorite activities that we do here because it is the epitome of a motor challenge activity. We are working on so many degrees of motor challenge and motor planning for all our kiddos that have lack of coordination or dyspraxia. So this is the glider swing, and our kids like to call it the airplane. We have nicknames for all of our swings because they're our little friends. And this swing, as you'll notice, most swings that we have here do not have steady surfaces. That's one thing you're going to see. It's an unsteady surface. But we have different types of unsteady surfaces. So we use this swing for activities, what we call linear motion. So it's not rotary. It's not going in a circle. It's linear. And we know that a linear activity is working on our vestibular system. But we can put somebody prone or laying on their stomach on here. We can have them sit up and pull this. We can have them stand and walk along it. But we can also use it. Therapists, I see the speech therapists on here playing games where the kid will be swinging while they're playing a game and having a social activity. So again, this and any of these pieces of equipment are only limited by your lack of creativity and treatment because they do a multitude of things. So moving along our obstacle course path, we have the air walker. And this one's called the blue goo. So if your kids or clients here, you can tell them that you saw pictures of the blue goo. And I always equate this swing as you're suspended in air when you get it. It's made of Lycra. So it's kind of like womb space. You're suspended in air. You can have your head out or you can be entirely in. We have some kids that are really afraid to be entirely in, so their head might be out, and it suspends in the air. We can take this swing and they can do bouncing motions, so we're giving them lots of proprioceptive and vestibular input. This is a great modulator, and the kids just love feeling suspended in space. It's a nice sensory experience. It's also really tough to get in and out of. It's a challenge. So if I'm over here on the glider and I'm wanting to get into the swing, I'm going from a steady, unsteady surface to a really unsteady surface, because when I put my foot in here, it's going to go down towards the ground. And also try to get out of this thing. It's not easy, especially if you're lying flat. We have ropes in here so that you can pull yourself up, okay? So our next swing in the lineup is a disc swing, and most of you guys have seen a swing like this. Little Tykes makes ones that's plastic. We have carpeting on it because a lot of our kiddos end up falling off, and we don't ever want them to get injured, so we have everything probably more safety reinforced than the average thing. But this is a swing you're just going to sit around and flex your legs together. A lot of our kids have such poor core strength, they're not able to hold their body in flexion, which is that pattern you need to hold on to this swing. And many of them can only do it with their hands, but then when we ask them to remove their hand and reach for a trapeze bar, they can't hold the rest of their strength, their core strength, to do that. So this is a swing we're working on core, okay? And this is something you have to have on an obstacle course. This is a trapeze bar. And you guys see them at circuses, I'm sure, but we use them here because this really is the circus sometimes. But this, again, is another modality that you're going to use to transition from swing to swing. So I call it kind of a conduit or a connector. What happens with this is when you hold this trapeze bar, many of your kids do this. We're working on this motion because this is what you need for handwriting stability. So we're working, this is a much more mature, stable grasp. We're also asking them to pull themselves up against gravity so their legs actually come off the ground. So that's a against gravity flexion position or anti-gravity position. Because in order to smoothly swing over to this beam, they're going to have to clear the air. The goal of this obstacle course is always, all our kids know, you cannot touch the ground. So that's what we're having them do. Now imagine swinging on a trapeze bar to an unsteady surface like this. This is called a suspended balance beam. It's suspended in air. With some of our kids early on, we will secure this beam. It'll still have an unsteady component, but it won't be as unsteady as it is in free air. We also have added in some safety things with these straps and ropes. Many of our kids start off walking on this laterally, because that's easier, and then we work to this, which would be a forward heel toe, which is actually part of the Brunix. So this is another tricky thing because this works with postural reactions and how far can I move my body and stay upright. So they're learning about their body control and about how their hands and feet work together. The ultimate thing on an obstacle course is really coordinating hands and feet towards success. And believe me, we have lots of falls before we have success. But as you can see, we have a multitude of swings. We have over 24 swings in here. We have 2 obstacle courses. We have another one in Gym A that's lower to the ground. We'd love to have you come in, take a tour, try out these swings. You might fall, but come and see them. And we have others that aren't even up. We allow the clients to change these obstacle courses out because that's part of their learning to plan and make things work. So come by and take a look at them. They're really fun.